It's definitely the biggest win of my career, and I'm hoping this propels me to bigger and better things down the road. But Escape is, I mean, every pro looks forward to this race if they can get on the start list, and I'm just kind of speechless, honestly, so happy.
Quick interruption to say, as I'm editing this interview, we just got the news that Marc got the wildcard spot for the PTO US Open, so that should make this conversation even more enjoyable. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Tri. My name's Travis, and today I've got another interview, and I am so lucky to have the 2023 winner of Escape from Alcatraz, Marc Dubrick, with me to discuss not only the race, but also his career and how he got to this point. I had to write Marc's race recap for triathlete.com, and that's when I first did my research on Marc and found out he has all the potential and everything he needs to get to the very top of our sport. And I feel like he's still flying under the radar enough that more people need to get to know him because he's going to be in the spotlight soon enough. So thank you so much, Marc, for joining me. I'm really glad to have you here and have a good chat.
Thanks, Travis. And yeah, thanks for that awesome intro. That was definitely a good way to start off this and boost my confidence a little bit.
Well, I started a little bit, but I appreciate that. And yeah, let's get started, man. Tell us a bit about your background, not only how you got into the sport, but also just, yeah, your life in general, where you're from, etc.
Absolutely. So I'm from just outside Chicago, Illinois, a town called DeKalb. So it's just so much easier to say Chicago, but a lot of people know it for Northern Illinois University. Grew up a swimmer, followed in the kind of the footsteps or splashes, I guess, of my siblings. I have two siblings who both swam, and the parents were dropping them off to swim. So that's kind of where my sporting journey started. Focused on swimming for a majority of my life before getting introduced to some cross country and track, and then just fell in love with that. I had a great group of friends, and yeah, just stayed active with all sports, but mostly swimming and running. And then I walked on to the University of Missouri to cross country and track for 5 years.
All right. What made you choose cross country and track to university over the swimming, since you said you started swimming in the first place?
Yeah, so started swimming, but I just ended up liking running a lot more. I ended up being a bit better at it, and it got me to run in a D1 school. I was a walk-on, but ended up earning a scholarship. And, I loved the program at Mizzou. I wish I could go back. It was just such an amazing experience. Pretty good academic school, but definitely the best D1 school that I was able to get onto.
Incredible. So was then running post-university something you had in your mind going as a pro runner?
I had a little bit of a taste of triathlon before college, okay. Just because of that swimming and running kind of duo. So it kind of made sense to try all three of them. I never really had aspirations of being a pro runner, but when I was growing up, I thought I'd be a pro swimmer. It's always the dream to be an Olympian. But then I really, really enjoyed the dynamic of all three sports and triathlon. And I was still very new to it after college, but I had an opportunity to kind of commit everything to chasing that Olympic dream in 2018 when I graduated. So I did it, took that opportunity, and it's had its ups and downs, like all sports people understand, or everyone understands, with such a lofty goal. But it's been amazing so far, and it's definitely a dream job, and hopefully I can keep doing it for a lot longer.
Okay, so unpack that a little bit more for me. In university for running, and then after university, you did some triathlons. When did you think? Because then jumping to Olympic dream is quite big. Is that something you always had hopes for?
Yeah,
okay.
It is a bit big. You're right. And so I did this junior elite series in high school, and that was the U.S. has this draft legal style of triathlon, and that's what's in the Olympics. So Alcatraz, Ironman, this PTO, those are non-draft triathlons. Obviously, you know that. But then there's what's in the Olympics, which is draft legal. It's sprint and Olympic distance. You're on a traditional road bike. So that's kind of what I got introduced to first. So that was my first view of triathlon. I kind of knew what Kona was. I knew what Ironman was, but that was kind of what I wanted to do and chase that Olympic, the Olympic sport. So you had to do the draft legal stuff. but I also wanted to be the best runner I could be. So in college, I was just running, but classic college runner, faced a lot of injuries. So blessing in disguise now, that's what got me back in the pool during college and got me on the bike for the first time. And then that's kind of what got me going, like the traction going for thinking about triathlon post college graduation, I guess.
Was there a moment or a race that made you think like, this is it. I think I can do this triathlon thing?
Not really. I mean, so right away I had a great coach. My coach is James Peterson, and you realize how long it takes to get to that top level. So there were like times, training sessions, races where you see the progress come through, which is really encouraging, but you need to like also be ready to develop over 3, 4, 5 years, which can be tough because it's an expensive sport. But it honestly takes that long sometimes for some people to get to that top level or to stay at that top level. Because it's just trying to be the best in the world. It's going to take time.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your short course racing then. Obviously, we see a lot of the people in long course, the best, come from a short course background. Tell us about how that has transferred over into your long course racing now. And yeah, I think a lot of people miss out who are following me, for example, on the long course side of things, and they don't realize how tough short course racing is. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's really tough. So there's like 3 tiers of races. There's the Continental Cup level, which pretty much everyone has to start at, because to get to the next level, you need enough points. You need your world ranking to be high enough. So you start at this Continental Cup level, and they're kind of all over the place, hard to get to places. And there's not much prize money, but you almost have to do it to get those points. And then you get up to the World Cup level and the WTS level, and that's where there's a little bit more money. There's a bit more support, a bit more sponsorship, but it's tough. If you're in a World Cup race, you're probably facing like a dozen Olympians, if not more, each race. So then, yeah, depending on your country, like the US, we're really strong. So it can be tough getting up that ranking. And then each race is just so different. You have so many different dynamics, different styles of courses, because it's draft legal. Like each race is dictated by different factors of who's in the race. And then like, what are your strengths? Like you definitely have to be a strong swimmer. But yeah, I had some really good success in it. Also some really big frustrations. So that's why I started focusing on or tying in a bit more non-draft. Right after COVID, they obviously shut down ITU, or the draft legal racing, all racing, for like a year and a half, I think. So I was able to get on I forgot what happened when they reopened. I ended up breaking my hand. That's what it was. Right away. So I was out for COVID, all of COVID, because it was all closed. And then I broke my hand the first race back. So it was like 2.5 years of just no racing. It's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
And then I was able to jump on 70.3 Maine. It was my first ever long course race. I was living in New Hampshire at the time, and I was just itching to race. Like I would take any triathlon, and that kind of opened my eyes to 70.3 in non-draft. I ended up getting a second place there, qualified for Worlds, but still really wasn't focused on long course. But that gave me a good taste of possibly like what could come in the future.
Yeah, I saw that second place at Maine on your debut, and then I think it was third at Memphis straight away.
Yep.
That must have been hard then, thinking, oh no, I still have all the short course ambitions, but now maybe this is my thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it helped give me so much traction. Like until then, I really hadn't had that big of results. A lot of people still don't know who I am, but it just kind of like helped me explain to sponsors or potential sponsors like my potential, hopefully. Because in the US, it's tough. A lot of people don't really care. A lot of sponsors don't seem to care about draft legal racing. A lot of the support comes from the US Federation, and that can be pretty hard to get, of course. So those 2 podiums right away helped. But they were smaller 70.3s. But it was still really fun. And then it gave me a little bit of a financial boost to then go back to short course and get to a few more races.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So if you don't mind me asking, were you supporting yourself through triathlon, like, or were you working another job while doing it? How did you manage to balance it all?
Yeah, I have a really great team behind me. I have a very supportive family, coach. I have a team. I was in New Hampshire. I had a group of 6 or 7 people. We'd all train together. I just ended up not like leaving the team. Like, I'm still coached by the same coach, but I branched out and wanted to come train in Boulder. Wanted to go to Tucson, just kind of mix up where I was training and who I was training with. But yeah, since going pro, you could say, since taking my elite card in 2018 after college, I've worked pretty much the whole time alongside training.
Wow.
So I started off working at New Balance at a mall. That was pretty brutal because you're on your feet the whole time. I was probably working 20 to 25 hours a week at the mall, and then training 20 to 30 hours a week, but not too sustainable because that was a lot of time on the feet. And then now I work part-time with Magic 5. I've been with them for 2 years, and it's definitely the perfect balance. I work 15-ish hours a week, fully remote. And yeah, it's definitely a good gig to balance out with training.
Fantastic. So, okay. So you qualified for Worlds. Yeah, that was St. George 70.3.
That was St. George. Yep.
I
qualified in, I don't even know what year. It was like a year and a bit before St. George Worlds, because it was like, I think it was one of the first qualifying races for the new cycle. So in the age group field, it's like you can qualify up until like, I think a month, and you're still going to do that same world champs that's in that year. But for the pro field, like right now, because Worlds is coming up here in at the end of August, if you go to a 70.3 right now, you're not going to qualify for 2023 Worlds. It would be 2024 Worlds. It's just kind of a weird cycle. So if I were like, I think Andorra was just 70.3. Andorra was last weekend. So they qualified for 2024 Worlds, but that's in December of 2024. So that's kind of how it was for me. I qualified, but I still had like a year and like 2 months or so. I forget, it was something crazy. So I was still mainly focusing on draft legal, getting enough points to get to that WTS level and that World Cup level. But I was obviously still itching to do my best there, but it was a long way off.
Fair enough. So yeah, you could, it was enough time where you could just put that on the back burner, focus on short course. So I saw you did Leeds and Hamburg. You made it to that WTCS level. Tell us a bit about that, and then how now looks like you're gone to full-time long course, or will you be doing some more short course?
Yep. So almost entirely out of short course. That was a pretty tough decision. Pretty much saying no to like that Olympic dream of mine. But I just have a lot of other goals in triathlon. There's so many things I want to do there's so many things I want to do with the sport that I can do with draft. I can also now go hopefully be a guide for the Paralympians. So I hopefully could do that in 2020, be 2028. I can't do it for 2024. They have some rules. But yeah, Leeds and Hamburg, I mean, those were definitely the biggest races of my life at the time, but I didn't secure a spot in the start list until the week before. So what I've learned is you just have to be crazy adaptable. Just because triathlon, you never know. So they only take, I think it's 55 on the start list, and I was ranked like 60 to 65, I think, before those. So, and not everyone does it due to injury or just race scheduling. So I ended up rolling on. It's just pretty much when, the race doesn't fill up and you're able to get on. So I think before Leeds, I found out the Tuesday before the Saturday race. So I quickly booked my flight. I was in Spain at the time. Booked my flight from Girona, Spain to Leeds, and raced. It went very, very bad, which sucked. But there's nothing more for me. There's nothing like more motivating than sometimes getting kicked in the teeth. I mean, you realize what you need to do, what you need to change. and it's not like I was complacent by any means. I mean, I knew I was fit. I knew, it was going to be tough, but that was a huge motivator for when I got back to training after that race.
All right. I mean, yeah, probably so much experience at that high
It was
level.
a lot of experience, yeah, and I think that's what everyone should try to do if they can. I mean, it was super good for me in Hamburg. It was a few weeks later. I ended up rolling on again, like the Tuesday or Wednesday before. So I flew there. I was still in Spain, and that one went a bit better. I actually finished. I had a really good swim, top 10 WTS swim.
Wow.
And then the bike. The bike has always been kind of a weakness of mine. So we've been focusing a lot more on that. And we've always been focusing on it, but not until recently have we seen it like really make some big improvements. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So before we get to that, because I really do want to touch on that, because I'm fascinated by it, because you really have made that jump recently. Take me through that decision then to stop going through to short course after those races, and 70.3 worlds then, and then maybe this off season and what's changed.
Yeah. So a lot of it was a bit financial. Just it's pretty expensive to go chase those points, especially self-supported. And then I just really enjoyed the community in long course. Nick Chase, and he has this great group of pros, I guess. We have an age group team as well, and a development elite team with Real Tri Squad, RTS. So meeting all these people, it's just been so much fun. And I love short course. I mean, it definitely sucks saying like goodbye to that, but I am really excited for what long course has. For what hopefully what's to come in long course for me. But yeah, it was a tough decision, but I'm really excited for long course.
Okay, so you make that decision, or was that after 70.3 worlds, or just before?
In and around there.
In and around there, okay.
More so this year. My ranking slipped quite a bit. So towards the end of last year, when I started focusing on 70.3 and riding that TT bike, I wasn't able to go to as many races, so my world ranking kind of slipped, and that's what you need to get on these WTS and World Cup and WTS races. So at the start of this year, I went to Chile for 2 races, and I got a flat at one, and then I just raced really poor at the other. So I really needed those to go really well, to then not, because it's like Continental Cups, they just pretty much there for getting you to the World Cup and WTS level. You lose money pretty much if you win. Like even if you win, you're losing money. That's how kind of cutthroat they are. So those didn't go too well, and it was just tough. I'm trying to obviously be optimistic about it, but it was a tough choice.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like, I mean, I'm really glad you're explaining that to us and talking about Continental Cups and stuff like that, because a lot of you guys don't even get a chance to share that to a wider audience, and people don't realize how hard it is to make it at that level. Even though it's Continental Cup, you still might face people as good as yourself who can win a 70.3, and
pretty much at any Continental Cup, no matter where. I mean, there's going to be like 1 to 5 probably Olympians, because they're looking to keep their ranking up. It might look good for sponsors, or it's like a home race for them. But yeah, like the maximum prize money for the win at a Continental Cup is like $1,500, and those 2 in Chile, like the flight alone was like $2K, like, so if you win, you're still much losing money.
Oh, brutal. Okay, so I do want to go back to RTS and talk a little bit about that and how that's helped you, but I think we should dive into Escape from Alcatraz. I'm so sad this race isn't broadcast, because I think it would be so epic. So many of us have it on our bucket list, but have never been there or experienced it or spectated it. So tell us a little bit about it, how you were feeling coming into the race. Were you thinking you were in exceptional form maybe to take the win? How did the course suit you? All of that.
Yeah, so you kind of nailed it. But it's a bucket list race for so many people, pros especially. I mean, age groupers, they do that random drawing, right? I forget what they call it, but they only take 2,000 people, and like 10,000 people apply. And then same with the elites. They leave it to 6 to 8 people, invite only. So right there, it kind of sets the standard of just such an epic race to get on. And I got on pretty late. I emailed them and they're like, yeah, we got one more spot. And I'm like, I'm in. Like, I've always wanted to do this race. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Like, and so I obviously wanted to make the most out of it. And I went there thinking I was, it was a course that suited me really well. A hard swim, you got the current, you got the waves. It's an 18-mile bike, so shorter bike, hilly, punchy, so still suits me pretty well. And then a really hard, hilly run with a lot of sand. So I knew it suited me well, but it was a pretty deep field. I mean, they don't just, it's not like they invite the people they know best. I mean, they are inviting the best triathletes, So I was stoked to be part of that kind of prestigious squad this year. And yeah, obviously happy to come away with the win, and everything just went really, really well. I'm sure we'll talk about like the swim. I took a very aggressive line. A lot of people go into shore first. So they cross the current first, and then they go with the current along shore. And I as straight as I possibly could. Which ended up paying off.
That's incredible. I've heard reports on that. Did you preview that, or was that just something you made a decision on the fly? Or
I had some good intel from the previous swim winner, Greg Harper, and then another good friend of mine, Evan, who'd done the age group race before. But it's tricky. I mean, the whole race is very unique. So most Ironmans or short course races, whatever triathlon, you're able to kind of preview the swim pretty easily. Like you're in a lake, you can you might have the buoys out there. But for this one, like you don't know what the current's like. You don't know exactly where they're going to drop you off. They just give you like 3 buildings to sight for, 3 or 4 buildings. But if it's foggy, like you're not going to see them. So thankfully you could see them before you jumped off the boat. You have like an hour ferry ride. It takes like an hour to get out there.
Jeez.
Because they kind of give you a little tour of Alcatraz, which is also cool. I didn't know that. I thought it was 15 minutes to get out there to the start. But no, you get on the ferry and you got an hour to get ready and kind of enjoy the view of San Francisco and
build tension a little bit.
So on the boat, you could see the exit. But once you jumped in, you couldn't. So you have to have like a few sighting points. And there was, 2 good spots that I aimed for. For the first 10 minutes of the swim, I aimed for this one building. And then after 10 minutes, I started to see this red roof of the yacht club, and I knew that was where the exit was. So from then on, I was just sighting as straight and swimming as straight as I possibly could by myself. I didn't know I was going to get such a good gap, but that was my goal, was to push the swim hard, maximize kind of where my strengths are, and then just keep pushing from there.
All right. So then you jumped on the bike. Did you know you had such a good gap? And how were you feeling about the bike leg and the run to come? And then you're in the lead. Were you just like, let's win this thing?
It wasn't like, let's win this thing quite yet. But, so for this race, it's a really long transition. You have almost 1,000 meters. So 1K from the exit of the swim to your bike. And you still don't see anyone. It's not until you get into transition and then you get on your bike, do you have an opportunity to kind of see anyone? So I got on my bike and was able to see Miguel and who else was it? Eric Lagerstrom. So I knew I had a pretty good lead, but it's hard to tell. You don't know how long they're going to take in transition. Sometimes your mind plays games with you, like, oh, they're right there, but really they have to go through all the transition. But I didn't hear anything until I was on the run, like no splits. So the whole bike, I'm just like kind of doing my own race. So I was pushing the ups a bit more because on the downs, it's a really hilly bike course. It's pretty bumpy and there's a lot of turns. So I just maximized going up as best I could, and then kind of relaxed and made sure to be safe on the steep down descents, which isn't necessarily the best for like preserving your run legs. A lot of times you just want to try to keep your normalized power and your average power, or just like your spikes as minimal as possible. But on this course, with it being a little shorter, and I definitely wanted to be safe on those sketchy descents. So I just kind of stayed on my game plan, and it's an 18-mile course, like I said, but there's a lollipop at the end. So you get like I think probably 7 miles out and back. That part's the same. So 14 miles of the course overlaps, but then you have 4 miles around this park where you don't see people. So I think I was on that, and then by the time I got back to the out and back part, the rest of the field was in the loop, so I never saw anyone. Wow. I didn't get any gaps or anything on the bike. I just like, when are they going to catch me? When are they going to catch me? It wasn't until I got into transition that I heard I had a minute and 20 or something like that, which I was really happy with, because that means I only lost like 20 seconds on the bike to those two. All
right. So then a minute 20, you heard that split.
Yeah.
Were you feeling it then on the run? Because you're coming in with a running background, you should have felt confident right then.
Yeah. I was so happy to get off the bike. Not because of like any really reason. There's just like mechanicals come on the bike, but just there's a lot of like uncertainties on the bike besides like your physical ability, like flat tires, all this stuff. So it's so nice getting off the bike sometimes, because now it's in your control. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it's a 8-mile run, and the first 1.5 miles is dead flat before you get to these like this epic staircase. The first epic staircase. I didn't really realize there was like so many sets of stairs, but you stay flat along the bay, and then you climb all the way to the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you go underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you fly down this hill to this beach, and then that's where like the sand ladder is. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just stayed somewhat controlled at the start. Got the running legs warmed up. I run with a watch, but mostly for just knowing where I'm at on the course. Okay. Because for this course, you have such a variety of splits. You're going up a hill. So my first mile, I went out in like 5:10, I think. But then once I hit the staircase, my third mile was probably like 6:20 or something. Like, you can't count paces. Okay. I use it more as like a fueling strategy. I run with a little flask of precision hydration mixed with maple syrup, and every kilometer I take a little sip. So that's why I run with the watch.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
All right, then take us through the finish. What did that mean? Biggest win of your career, I'm guessing. And yeah, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, so it meant everything. But even I kind of felt like I was going to get the win with maybe 3 miles to go. You only get a look at the competitors once during the run course. Wow. So again, pretty unique. And so I was able to see Eric and Miguel again on the beach, because you have like 1.5 miles of running on the beach. So there I was like, okay, I think I got a good lead, but I still am never one to like count my blessings too early. So I did the sand ladder, pushed that pretty hard. And then even after the sand ladder, you have a 1/2 mile uphill still. So I was like, all right, push until the top of this hill. And from there, it's downhill the rest of the way. And I just kept pushing all the way to the line. I was just feeling good. It was just one of those great days. And yeah, I mean, it was a super special win. I think it's built a lot of momentum for me. And yeah, hopefully go back and defend. But it was such an amazing race. I still kind of, they keep posting content now, actually. So it's a good reminder.
That sounds so special. I mean, just you describing the course sounds so tough, sounds so brutal to me. It's just such a shame that it's not broadcast and, has tons of us watching.
One day. I mean,
that would be great.
Every pro, like, I feel like tries to do it like in their career. I mean, you look at the list of people who've won it or who've done it, and there's a lot of people, a lot of pros who've done it.
Yep.
Because it's such a special race. I mean, it's so unique and fun, and we all just, everyone enjoys that challenge.
Be great if PTO came by and said, hey, we'll do the broadcast for it. Eh?
Seriously, yeah, that'd be awesome. And if they put points on it, that'd be even better.
I know, I couldn't believe that when I looked up your ranking afterwards, that didn't count. Hey, but yeah, speaking of PTO, this hopefully might bring you some momentum to head to the US Open. Is that?
I hope so.
Yeah, a big goal.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'm definitely gonna make the most out of it. Like I was telling you before, I was kind of a late entry to Alcatraz, and I knew it was such a good opportunity for me. So if the same thing happens for the US Open, I'm definitely going to go there and give it everything I have.
I think you're with your swim and everything, it really could suit you. And it's pretty much a hometown race for you, really close to where you're from. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't wait to see my family. If I do go, of
yeah.
course. So it's in Milwaukee, and I'm probably 2 hours from there. My parents just moved closer to the suburbs of Chicago. And they all live really close to my siblings. So everyone's within like 15 minutes of each other. So I love going home because I get to see everyone all in one trip. So yeah, we'll find out soon. I think they're announcing it this week.
Oh,
They'll announce the wild cards.
oh man. Well, if they haven't made their decision yet, all the listeners should go over and maybe tag
Yeah,
Mark in a
seriously.
PTO post or something. That would be helpful, and we'd love to see him there. I honestly think just watching that step up. I mean, you beat Eric Lagerstrom, defending champion there. Jason West as well was there. He's been doing phenomenal. I mean, you're really at that level now. How did you pull that off against some of the top pros, like you said? How did you get to this level?
That is the $1 million question, right? No.
Yes.
I think the biggest, there's quite a few big reasons, I guess, and that's just been consistency. I've been with my coach for going on 5 years now, and we've just been super consistent with training. And communication obviously goes a long way when you're not in person with your coach. So consistency in training, and then just believing in myself and believing in the development. Because it's never going to come right away. I mean, of course, we all want it to like your results to come, or these breakthroughs to come right away. But like more times than not, like 99% of the time, that's definitely not the way it's going to happen. So we've been seeing pieces fall together over the course of those 5 years. But definitely in the last year and a half for non-draft, we've seen a lot of pieces fall into place. A lot of that's just getting more time on my time trial bike, because not only are you getting better than like strength wise, but I'm also getting better just like holding the position, getting more aero. So you're kind of doubling down there. And then that also has been translating to running well off the bike. The stronger I get on the bike, the less fatigued I am kind of running. So we've seen my run really progress, which is really exciting without much change to the training. Just simply by getting better on the bike, I'm getting better on the run.
Fantastic. Can you take us through a week in the life of Marc, maybe leading up into Alcatraz? What does training look like? And I'm especially interested to hear from you as a good, really strong swimmer, how that looks like in a week for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of my weeks are pretty similar, like how they're structured. So through the winter, I was in Tucson. I'm not a big fan of training anywhere where it snows. So I booked a place with a few friends, a few other pro triathletes down in Tucson. So I was there for the winter, some awesome training, and then a lot more hours on the time trial bike, and started lifting a bit more. So that's been something new in the past year and a half, that I've also seen help my training and strength and injury prevention is having a good lifting routine. But yeah, my week, very, very similar week by week. It of course tapers off as you get close to races. But Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually a triple day. Anywhere from a 90-minute to a 2-hour ride, and then anywhere from a 4K to a 5K swim. Some of those are recovery. Wednesdays usually recovery swim. Monday, Friday might have a little intensity sprinkled in there. And then Tuesdays are the kind of the quality days, and those will be a hard swim and a hard run. And we found that kind of doubling, like putting the intensity all in one day, has been a lot better for me than kind of spreading it out through the week. That way I can, Monday, even though I'm working out 4.5 to 5.5 hours the whole day, there's pretty much no intensity. It's just volume. And paces don't matter. Nothing matters more than just kind of getting the work in. Okay. So like today on my run, I ran like 8 flat pace, which isn't anything to, there's no records being set, but it's just time on the feet and consistency. But because Tuesdays, it's all about hitting that quality work on Tuesdays. And then Thursdays, we've been pretty consistent with having a big day of biking. I only do bike workouts. We've split it into 2 workouts, which is really unique. Not many people do a double bike day, but we've been able to manage that. It manages kind of the fatigue, but also balances kind of the quality work.
Okay.
So Thursday is a big bike day, and then Saturday and Sunday are usually long ride and long run, anywhere from 13 to 15 miles on the run. I mostly go off time because for me it's better. I think it was hard to switch from going off mileage to time, but when you're a lot of times super fatigued, it's better to go off time because you don't need to, like, if you're going for an hour and a half run and you're tired, go run 8 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter what you run, like the time on your feet. But if you're going off mileage, sometimes you can overdo it because you're trying to run too fast or something. But yeah, that's pretty much the week. I eat a lot and I train a lot, but it's been a good balance. And that usually gets me to 25 to 29, 30 hours a week of training.
Wow. Do you do a lot of that solo with a squad? And
it just depends.
Okay.
A lot of times for the quality sessions, like swims, we've had a good group here in Boulder. So every Tuesday, there's been 5 to 10 people that I've convinced to do my sessions with me. And then the run is a lot of times solo. And then on the easy days, it's really nice jumping with other people who have similar kind of training methods, I guess. People who want to go easy or hard at the same pace are usually the ones who are like, it's good to train with. You don't want like someone who, I don't know. There's a lot of people in Boulder, I'll say.
That's fair. That makes a lot of sense. I've heard that too. Do you have a secret Marc session that maybe you could share with the audience that you're like, I have to get this done? Maybe, I know you said it doesn't really matter time, but
I don't think there's a secret sauce training session, but I know you brought up swimming. I think open water swimming is just so crucial to obviously racing. You race open water, so if you can get in a pond, a lake, whatever it is, once a week, that's going to be huge. Because if you're flipping, like flip turns in the pool, that's like a little like micro rest, I guess. So when you're open water swimming, there's no walls, there's nothing but swimming, and it feels a lot different. So I think if people can get in the water, practice sighting, practice swimming straight, practice rounding buoys, that can go a long way.
Oh, right on. Okay, Marc, that was such an amazing conversation. I've got to now ask you the hot question like I do with everybody I have on here. I didn't even give you a preview of this. I apologize. But I think you're the guy to ask for this question. Okay, short course or long course, if only one had to survive for the good of triathlon. So everybody from long course had to go down to short course, or short course had to go up to long course. Which one would it be?
Oh, that is such a good question. I'm gonna go short course, honestly, because I think, and there's the one reason is that the courses are so small and compact. You can really put it in a big city or a cool venue, and people can watch the whole race. You know, on a long course race, for most like 70.3 Ironmans, like you see someone for maybe a minute as they're leaving on the bike, coming out in transition, and then you don't see them again for another hour or 2 hours or for a full maybe 4 hours. But for short course, you know, you're seeing them on the swim the whole time. They usually do like multiple lap courses, 4 to 8 laps. You're seeing them every couple minutes, and the run every couple minutes. So I'm gonna have to go short course.
I like it. I'm glad you really defended it too. That's a good one. I also think that you know, it's easier for people to participate in short course. I don't know why more people don't do it, especially in the States. But yeah, I think that's
that's true. I mean, people do. I think that's where if you're new to triathlon, you should start in like the sprint and Olympic distance. Of course, that is different than draft legal. You know, draft legal they do compete in the sprint and Olympic distance. But yeah, there's zero opportunity for age group draft legal, or there's like one, I think. Yeah. The age group national champs has one draft legal age group race. But yeah, it's just I don't even know if it's that popular in Europe to have age group draft legal racing.
Yes.
But that's where non-draft takes the win, is kind of the relatability. because you're a lot of times on the same course as the age groupers. So you can kind of compare times there. You can just, it's very relatable in that fact where short courses, there's really no other, like, age groupers don't do the same course. It's just the pros.
Yep, for sure. It'll be interesting to see now with Super League taking over a couple of the races here with maybe some of the changes.
I'm excited to see what happens with that.
That'll be good. Okay. Before I ask you a few rapid fire questions to end it, Marc, what's next? Hopefully the PTO, I know that, but what else is next? What's upcoming? And where can we follow you?
Yeah, so the next thing for me is 70.3 Oregon. And I'll be leaving for that on the 19th, and the race is Sunday the 23rd. So I'm really excited for that. It's a unique race in that it's a downriver swim, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it'll be a good challenge.
Right on. I love it. I will see you there. I'll hopefully be there in person. So that'll be great to meet you. Yes.
Yeah,
I live just north of there. So that'll be great, man. And hopefully I can do an interview with you in person. And
yeah, well, you'll be able to meet the rest, or almost the rest of the Real Tri Squad. We have half of us going.
Oh, that'll be a blast. Great. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay.
It's going to be a fun weekend. And then, yeah, hopefully hear about the PTO race later this week. And then after that, I'm actually flying to Font Romeu for an altitude camp before 70.3 Worlds.
Oh, fantastic. Really looking forward to following you. And everyone go give Marc a follow on Instagram as well, so you can track him.
Yeah, that'd be great. Dubrick7, I think, is my handle. I used to have a YouTube channel, and maybe I'll get that back.
All right.
Just, it's funny, like, finding what people want to hear about. So if you have any ideas for what I should do for a YouTube video, reach out, tell me, and I'll try to get it out to you.
Perfect. All right. You heard him. Give him some ideas. I think, man, people just want to see it. They just want to live vicariously through you, especially going to Font Romeu and training. That sounds like a dream to most of us. So that's cool. Okay. Rapid fire, quick few questions here. If you weren't a triathlete, what would you be?
If I wasn't a triathlete, what would I be?
You can be anything, Marc.
Yeah, definitely something in the sports industry.
Okay.
I just love being in and around athletics, whether it be triathlon or just individually swim, bike, run. Right now I'm just trying to meet as many people as I can, network, and kind of treat these sponsorships that I have now as almost like a internship for post competition. And I've met so many cool people. So it's funny, I don't really have a good answer for that question, but what I want to do after triathlon definitely involves just being in and around the sport of triathlon still.
I love that. Okay. Horrible chafing or GI issues?
Horrible chafing.
Fair enough. All right. Are you organized or unorganized?
I'm organized in areas where it's like a public space, but in my room, pretty disorganized.
How are you before a race? Pretty good?
Yeah. Before a race, like as far as organized, unorganized, yeah, I like to lay things out, and then like the race morning, that I put it in like the bag to make sure like I have eyes on it and I know it's there before I leave the house or leave for a trip.
Love it. So no stress.
Yeah, I put it in a corner. I usually take over a corner, or that's when my room gets organized, is when one side of the room needs to be for organizing the packing list.
Love it. Okay, hip hop or rock?
Rock for sure.
All right, me too. Okay, pasta or pizza before a race?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. I'm gonna go pasta.
Oh, yeah, same. All right.
But I actually usually go with rice and chicken. Okay. Super simple.
Love it. Okay, sprint finish or dominate like Alcatraz?
Sprint finish.
All right. That's super. I love that question. So I hope to get more of those in the bank. So.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, everyone wants a dominant win. But there's also just, it's so cool winning a sprint finish. I bet. I mean,
yes. Cool.
So I've heard.
Me too. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Marc, for your time. I thought that was a great chat. And yeah, everyone go follow Marc and, send him some messages, cheer him on before he goes to races and afterwards as well. So thank you.
Travis, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, for all the listeners, feel free to reach out. I don't mind meeting people. I'm a very social guy at races, so come say hi.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. We'll hopefully catch up again soon, maybe after another big race.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks again.
Thank you for watching the video. If you're new around here, then don't forget to subscribe. This channel is all about helping triathlon become a huge sport through weekly news videos, highlights, motivational videos, race reporting, and anything else you can think of, with a splash of my own triathlon journey thrown in. The goal is for this to become the YouTube hub for everything professional triathlon, and I'd love to do it full time to give back to you and create an amazing community. To help me do that, I need you to get behind me by supporting me for the price of a gel on either Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. You can also join in on the conversation on Discord and follow me on Instagram. The more support, the more content. And don't forget, it's simple. Try every day. We'll see you in the next one.